Reading from the Gospel of Luke. Once while Jesus was standing beside the lake of Gennesaret, and the crowd was pressing in on him to hear the word of God, he saw two boats there at the shore of the lake. The fishermen had gone out of them and were washing their nets. He got into one of the boats, the one belonging to Simon, and asked him to put it out a little way from the shore. Then he sat down and taught the crowds from the boat. When he had finished speaking, he said to Simon,
"Put out into the deep water and let down your nets for a catch."
Simon answered,
"Master, we have worked all night long, but have caught nothing. Yet if you say so, I will let down the nets."
When they had done this, they caught so many fish that their nets were beginning to break. So they signaled their partners in the other boat to come and help them. And they came and filled both boats, so that they began to sink. But when Simon Peter saw it, he fell down at Jesus' knees, saying,
"Go away from me, Lord, for I am a sinful man."
For he and all who were with him were amazed at the catch of the fish they had taken. And so were James and John, son of Zebedee, who were partners with Simon. Then Jesus said to Simon,
"Do not be afraid. From now on you will be catching people."
When they had brought their boats to shore, they left everything and followed him. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
Well, this is kind of a dialogue sermon. You got any fishermen here? No? No fishermen? Do you like to go fishing? Good. Well, this is a fishing sermon. Who do you think Jesus is talking about when he's talking about fishing for people? It's just a miracle story, like, oh, when you have Jesus around and catch lots of fish, or there's some deeper level of meaning going on here, do you think? Anybody want to make a guess about that? Yeah.
When they go out to become disciples later on, they will actually be catching people into the gospel.
It's actually, the Greek's really good here too, because we say catching people, and that's sort of like we have to be politically correct now. You probably, some of you learned it, I will make you fishers of men. But the real word in Greek is, I will help you pull people out of danger. It's like catching in the sense of rescuing. It's not like dead fish being hauled in, but it's live fish being hauled in, so saving you from the deep. Okay, so we're talking about the role of discipleship, right? And why do you think that this might be kind of hard for the disciples then to hear these words of Jesus? What's the scene here that might be sort of making them think, what is he, nuts? What were the disciples doing? When it starts out, what are they doing? They're washing their nets. In other words, they've been done. They've gotten done from a whole night of fishing. They're putting their equipment away. And Jesus says to them, go back out and go fishing again. Now, what is Jesus by trade? He's a carpenter, and they're fishermen. So, in other words, what does this guy know about fishing? Now, he's telling us, now that we've got everything all wrapped up, we've worked all night, we haven't caught very much, we're putting our equipment away, we're washing it all up, getting ready to call it quits and go home. He's telling us to go out and start fishing. It's kind of weird, isn't it? And so Peter gives him a little back talk, right? What are you, nuts? Hey, we were out all night. We're supposed to listen to you? We know what we're doing. How come you're telling us what to do? Where do you get off? Right? But what happens? They do it anyway, and they get this big, huge catch of fish. There's so many that the boats start to sink. So what do you think? What do you think the message is here for us in the church of today? Do you think most people in church see themselves as catchers of people, fishers of men? That's their job? I think that's the first thing that's hard about this passage, that this is a sort of role of discipleship. This is what Jesus wants all of us to do, is to go and bring other people, pull other people out of the deep, pull them into the boat, to make other disciples. We're disciples, and our job is to make other disciples. And we sort of kind of give Jesus a lot of back talk about that, right? We don't want to do that. That's not our job. Let somebody else do it. We're done. We're done here. We're tired when we come to church. I mean, we don't want to do anything else, right? And Jesus tells us we have to go out and do that. And I think what's interesting is this sort of image of abundance. There's so much stuff that the nets start to break. There's so many fish that they put them in the boat, and the boats start to sink. It's probably wasn't lost on the medieval commentators that the word in Latin for boat is nave, right? Where we get our word navy from, and a boat is often used as a symbol in the New Testament for the church. And if you think about it, especially yours, looks like a boat that's turned upside down. It looks like the keel is up there. And we talk about the nave of the church. That's the place where all the pews are. That's where everybody sits. So it's kind of like, well, when we're in church, we're kind of sitting in this boat. So it's probably no surprise that we hear this image of the boat, bringing people into the boat. Not dead fish, but live fish. Live people, bringing them into the boat. And that's what we're called to do, but we're sort of reluctant to do that. So when I see a passage like this, I always think, well, as a bishop here, I get to make this little pitch. But come on, folks, let's go make some disciples. Let's go out and bring people into relationship with Jesus. Let's grow the church. Let's bring them in. Fill the pews. Fill the boat up. And yet the reaction from many people is, no, that's not our job. We don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. It's somebody else's job. Jesus, you don't know what you're talking about. Yet this is a job of discipleship. So I hope that maybe when we hear things like this, we kind of remember what we're all called to do as disciples, and part of that is sharing the good news with other people. And that doesn't mean especially in our tradition in the Episcopal Church, that does not mean going and hitting somebody over the head with a Bible, or standing out in the street corner and waving the Bible around, or saying to somebody, if you don't believe like I do, or if you don't come to my church, you're going to go to hell. That's not Episcopal evangelism. I don't think that's evangelism in any sense, but it's certainly not the way Episcopalians do stuff. But what we can do is to say to others, my faith has made a difference in my life, and maybe it'll make a difference for you too. Why don't you come and check it out? I may not have all the answers, but I'd love to have you on the journey with me. I'd love to have you join in with me, because that's what Jesus calls us to do. Even though we're reluctant, and we can make all kinds of excuses. We're too tired. It's somebody else's job. I don't know enough. All those kind of things. That's still what we're challenged to do, is to help to fill those boats up and bring people in and grow the church and bring people into relationship with Jesus. So it's a good passage for evangelism. And maybe we can talk more about that at dinner. I don't know, but at least get your thoughts going about what it means to be a catcher of persons, or a fisher of many.